right. So hello, welcome everyone. Super excited to do this one. Today we have Medhnee with us, who's from the EPGP cohort of 27. Wow, feels weird to say that. But yes, now that I'm out of IIM Bangalore, now that I'm an alumni of IIM Bangalore, I would try to make more of these videos every weekends because my work has started, but I want to keep this continued. So yeah. But anyway, coming back to Midney, please introduce yourself, talk about your journey. What were you doing actually before MBA?
So hi everybody. As Shivam mentioned, I'm Medhnee. I was a product specialist at Bain for 5.5 years. I got into Bain right after my graduation in BCom honors. And since then, I have been at Bain, shifting roles a bit. So I started out as like a ops person in Bain, which was primarily dealing with like operations, building dashboards,
Yeah.
reducing manual efforts. Then in between the operations part, I got to know about product strategy. So I pivoted into strategy, and then I got aligned to tech cost management. So my role was primarily supporting consulting teams with our offering. We used to help clients reduce their IT spend with the diagnostics and the assessments we had. So yeah, it's been quite a wholesome journey for me, but that led me to pursue an MBA because in order to get to front end consulting, I had to have like an MBA. So yeah, that is how I came to EPGP IIM Bangalore.
All right. So do you really think that the MBA was required or will be required for you to move from, say, an operations role to a front-end consulting? Do you really think the industry wants that?
So it totally depends on the company you are in. So for MNCs such as Bain, there are certain guidelines that you have to follow through. So in order to make certain shifts from like support roles into front-end consulting, MBA is a necessity. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, MBAs are not actually that bad, if you. But yeah, anyway, coming to like the prep, right? I mean, why did you select like the 1 year MBA? Because I think you're at like 5 years, almost
5.5.
5.5 years work ex. What you're almost at the border, right? Because EPGP has a minimum of 5 years work
For
ex.
5 years, yeah.
So what made you kind of select the 1 year courses over the 2 year, or what was going on in your head?
So I think, yeah, I did a lot of research while, of course, going for the 1 year program versus the 2 year program. So for me, I just felt that if I do a 2 year program, I might be a tad bit senior in that cohort. So I wanted a cohort wherein I am junior. I get to learn. I get to learn from varied people. I understand different perspectives. I'm able to, gauge different things. So I preferred being like a bit younger in the cohort that I am in. So that was one point for me to lean towards a 1 year program. And the other part was after working for 5 years, I did not feel the need that I need to, study for 2 years and then get back into the industry. I think there is certain level of um, personality polishing that happens when you are in a corporate. So yeah,
True.
I just felt that in terms of like a year should be enough. A year of hardships is much better than 2 years of the same thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I think the 1 year programs have really been revolutionary. Primarily in the past
Hmm.
3 odd years, 5 odd years. Even when I was doing my research, like 1 years have kind of attained that positioning in the market where
Right. Hmm.
now people can opt for it because again, it's full time and it's residential. It's not like
Exactly.
um, you're not living on campus. I mean, it's all of the 2 year but compressed in 1 year.
Into one, yeah.
So, so okay, that's fun. Okay, so what about like colleges? What colleges did you apply to? How was that journey? And how did you end up in I'm Bangalore?
So I think while applying, I did consider a couple of colleges outside, but then again, I did a lot of analysis and I realized that I think I should be targeting top tier Indian B schools.
Mm,
So I applied to four colleges. I
yeah,
applied to IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, IIM Calcutta, and ISB. These
yeah,
are the only four colleges I applied to, and I got offers from all. So
Wow, that's
yeah,
crazy.
so that was another tough call to make of how I should be choosing which college. So I think the primary the big two were A versus B. So yeah, and I did a lot of whiteboard analysis on the pros and the cons list to just down select one. But yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I am really glad that I made the choice of first targeting Indian B schools and
Yeah.
second coming to IIM Bangalore. I think whatever I thought of the program, mostly it is going like that, and that is what I wanted. So
Oh, nice. So I'm going to ask you a tough question.
yeah.
What was your decision-making matrix for like A versus B, and what was the outcome finally?
So there were a lot of reasons. It was a massive list.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to keep it like the most more stronger points that tilted towards Bangalore was so one was I'd say the batch size. I thought like in a smaller cohort, you will have opportunities to like actually interact with your peers. You will also get more opportunity to interact with your professor because you're just one section.
Yeah.
So that was like a leaning point for me. The other was the location fit. In all honesty, I think Bangalore as a location is much better than Ahmedabad because we have like startup, e-commerce, so many companies, so many founders you can sort of go reach out to within the
Mhm.
same city. So yeah, that it was another factor. The third was I just felt that the cohort in Bangalore is more towards collaboration and like teamwork, but I just feel that A might be a little bit more competitive and academically more strong. I feel in Bangalore I'll get the opportunity of, the academic rigor, but all other things as well. So for
Yeah.
me, I think I wanted a more holistic experience. So that's why the decision to come to B.
I think it's bang on because A for academics is real.
Yeah.
And I mean now that I'm working with my colleagues are from Ahmedabad, and I mean a mix of Ahmedabad and Bangalore, right? And since the past few days we've been having these conversations, and we realized that it's both the same. So essentially, I mean, of course, now we're out of it. Of course, making that decision at that time is very, very
Yeah.
difficult. And I get a lot of these calls about, hey, what should I do? What college should I pick? Uh, Honestly, it's not an easy decision. It is a lot of bunch of these decisions, be it location, cohort size. Choose what you want. And next time, I think please call Medhnee to understand how she made that decision. But yeah, brilliant. All right. So yeah, I mean, so EPGP has happened, 24th April. You guys
Yeah.
come to college, right? Talk about that. I mean, how was your induction? How was, your experience coming into the campus for the first time? And yeah, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think the 3 days we had before our lectures actually started,
Yeah.
we had the Aurora event organized by our previous batch. Thank you so much. I think it gave us like an insight into how our entire year would look like.
Yeah.
So it was an amalgamation of what we could expect throughout the year. So we were like we could not sleep, but at the same time we were so pumped and excited about all the things happening. So
Yeah.
you were being pulled into all directions, whether it was case competitions, whether it was sports competitions, whether it was quizzes. It was like everything happening together.
Yeah.
But it did sort of prepare us for the week that was coming next, which was again very crazy, academically focused. Then there are things we have to do, but we somehow our body sort of managed to let us pass through it because we had attended Aurora. So yeah, I think till date we really talk about Aurora, and we are really grateful that you guys took the effort to actually organize that for us, and we got the opportunity to talk to you in person and understand what we can expect from the course, and not just listen but actually experience it on ground. So yeah, I think it was one hell of a 3 day event. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it was primarily for that.
Hmm.
And to also improve like the alum relations, right?
Right.
Because I think one thing that does not happen in the 1 year course is the senior junior. I mean, I don't like to say senior junior, it's just like
Previous
cohort X
cohort.
to
Yeah.
cohort Y, right?
Hmm.
Because the overlap is always minimal. And it's not just with Bangalore, it's with
It's
all
all,
of the
yeah.
one year
Hmm.
cohorts. Because I mean overlap is almost impossible, right? So it's a way to kind of strengthen that. And I hope that you guys continue and the future generations also keep on continuing that. But yeah, I mean, straight out of Aurora, now you're in class. I'm guessing 1st of April was your first class?
Yeah. 30th of March was
30th
our
of
first class.
March?
Yeah,
Okay.
Monday. Yeah.
So talk about that. I mean, how do the classes look like, for someone who's aspiring to come to IIM Bangalore? I mean, what should they be expecting in a class and what sort of subjects and how do you think like I know it's too early, it's just been like 10, 12 days, right?
Yeah.
But how do you think it's shaping you already to kind of move ahead in this?
So I think the first class, we were not expecting anything because we were like anything can happen. But our first class was CNS, and that was like a awakening call for all of us that we got to study, we got to read the cases, we have to understand, and we have to, whatever we say, it has to be backed by data. So
Yeah,
it was sort of a, I mean, shocking first class experience for us because we were all like, okay, what just happened?
yeah,
But then we had EM and Eco, which were like, slightly more interactive, or maybe I knew a bit more about those subjects. So I found them to be a bit more smoother. But at the same time, all the subjects that we have, it sort of triggered us to, think beyond what we already know.
yeah,
So I think everything is case based. There is theory, but it is theory connected to the practical scenario. So I
mm,
think that is where the true learning is because this is not school that we have to read theory, write it in a paper. But the fact that I really like is that they explain theory with like actual cases and examples, which sort of help you, decipher problems as you step into the corporate world as well. So it's not just plain theory that these are the rules, these are the frameworks, but they actually explain you how to deploy it. So after 10 days of the classes, I feel that all the classes are very interactive, and we also have, group projects, group
yeah,
huddles in general, which help us, understand, like, say I have one perspective, but people have other perspective to learn from that, and just enhance your vision of how you view at things. So I think in general, the way the course and the classes have been designed is really good.
yeah.
So yeah.
That's completely bang on. Uh, I mean, your batch had done a lot of research before coming to IIM Bangalore, I remember, because you guys were pretty spot on with everything. But what are like things that you've learned after coming over here, which you did not know, which should be highlighted, which should be spoken about?
I think it's more like, the attitude of we'll do everything, and then you end up doing nothing. I think we all just assumed that we'll, kar lenge sort of a thing, but that really does not happen. You have to manage your time. Time management is one thing we assumed we will do, but it came as a shocker to us that okay, we don't have time. We have to prioritize things. How do we prioritize it? It depends on our strengths and on our weaknesses. So that is one area we are still struggling. I mean, we are still trying to get back better at it, but I think that was one area. And the other thing was, like using all the amenities in the facilities that we have, because we
Yeah,
know that it's just a 1 year course. So, just acquainting yourself, your mind, that you need to, just push yourself and do
yeah,
things, because
yeah,
it will all help you, grow in general, and, push you to a level that you can see, this is something I can do.
yeah,
So, yeah, just having the mindset of like one day at a time, I need to learn two things maybe, and then just
mm,
going towards that, because this is the only time you have like all the amenities, all the facilities. You should
mm,
utilize that, and just make the most of it, I would say. So
yeah.
whenever I just feel like let me just sleep, I'm like, no, I am missing out on something. Let me just refigure if I can, stay awake for an hour or so, and then just do something productive, or just talk to people in general. So yeah, I think still figuring it out, too soon to say, but I think I'll have more insights maybe term after term one. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I used to go for long walks. I think those were like my escape. Uh, May I talk about like your batch? And I mean, your batch is actually very interesting because when I got the data from you guys
Mhm.
and very diverse. I mean, our batch was also diverse, but I think you guys are a bit more diverse. And I really love that about our admissions team that they're pushing the envelope
Right.
each and every year. So talk about like what is your perspective about your batch and how are those interactions kind of shaping your MBA journey?
So yeah, I think we have like a very like diverse, like you mentioned, diverse background. We have people from finance, we have people from consulting, we
Yeah,
have oil and gas people, we have people from the army.
yeah,
So I think having interactions with them actually helps me, understand certain industries better. So like
uh,
I can say like when we have our group huddles, I know so much about oil and gas thanks to those people.
yeah,
So similarly, there are so many people who don't know about consulting. They're like, how does it work? What is the life cycle of like a consulting case? How does that work? Just letting them know, making them understand this is how it is. We also have three, four business people who have joined the batch. So getting insights from them that how is this course actually helping you, or how did you make your decision when you were actually in this position. So I
yeah,
think all these conversations are really fruitful in terms of it's just pushing us to expand our horizons and think beyond our, we all have some barriers. We come from certain background. Like I'll be super confident in consulting, but there are areas that I don't know anything about. So just having those conversation, and the mindset to intake those information, and taking it all along with you and just seeing where your interest lies. I think that's a really nice like cohort in general to have discussions with.
yeah, yeah. True, true. And like moving on to like future aspirants, a lot of people see these videos to kind of get a
Mhm.
feeling of how the EPGP program would look like. So what would be like your top three recommendations during prep
Mhm.
for them? You know,
So, okay, so first of all, get your GMAT score sorted. I mean, that's the first step that will open your way to all the Indian top tier Indian B schools.
yeah, yeah,
Second, I would just say that not just focus on like the placement, but actually go through what the each institute specializes in. Maybe just study how the institute works. Like for me, I knew how A works, B works, C works, and what's different in ISB.
yeah,
Just gauge what you want out of the MBA. Just don't be fixated on which college offers me the highest placement. I
very true.
mean, this is a brand that you will carry for a long time. A, B, C, ISB, all of those are brands you'll carry for a long time. But just see what do you want to learn in that 1 year. Do you want a close-knit circle? A, I mean, close-knit set of cohort in which you can interact with people. Do you want to have, a personalized interaction with your professors? Or do you want to like compete with a batch of, say, 200, 300 people? Just sort out your priorities. And
Yeah,
once you have that sorted, choose the college based on your list and not on some placement metric, is what I learned from my journey. So,
very true. Bang on, actually, very bang on. Because placement stats are exactly a function of the students,
yeah.
right? It's not the other way
That's the
around.
primary, yeah, that's the primary factor for people to actually, make a list of colleges they want to apply
Yeah,
to. Because of course, ROI is important.
yeah. I did that. I mean, of course, मतलब कौन नहीं करेगा, right?
Hmm,
Because you're investing so much of money.
exactly.
So you do think a bit objectively, but you have to realize like all of these top tier that you've named, uh, they come with a lot of pedigree.
Hmm,
When you go into the corporate world, people do expect a lot of things from you as well.
right.
But you do carry that badge with you. And I mean, in the future, when you'll visit Ekatva, when you'll have all of those, you'll get to interact with all of these
All of
people,
these, yeah.
all of the 1 year programs, right? Uh, and hence, I mean, network is not really a problem because it's upon you how you kind of make friends
Exactly.
and yeah, yeah. Talk about like your interview. how did that go? Where did it happen? And do you remember any instances from that?
So all my interviews were in Delhi only because I was based in Delhi.
Yeah.
And I remember Bangalore's interview significantly well because that was my first interview after 5.5 years. And
Yeah.
it was really overwhelming to to say any least. I think they consciously, it was set in a manner that once you're out of the interview, you don't know if you'll get selected. So
Mm.
they were trying to, uh, just, ask you question left, right, center in any manner in which you just get into a panic mode. Maybe you are not able to answer. So it was a really overwhelming
Very true.
experience for me because they were just like firing me left, right, center. But I think the one takeaway or one thing I sort of analyzed post my interview was that maybe they were just testing how you react under pressure. So do you do you start getting angry or do you just blank out? They just look for signals if you will be able to handle the pressure that comes with the EPGP program.
True.
In all
True.
fairness, I understand their POV now, but then at that point, it was a really overwhelming experience. I was like, what just happened with me? So, but yeah, I think the interview process is also very comprehensive in terms of they try to ask about your work experience, then link it to your personal achievements as well, like extracurriculars or any internship that you have done, and try to, just understand you better in those 30 odd minutes. So they try to, nitpick on you and just see how you react and, just
Yeah.
ask you about certain trends in India, if you're following news and things like that, just
Mm.
to see how aware you are. So I think the interview is structured well. It's just overwhelming for a person who's giving it after 5.5 years. So yeah. But yeah, that
No, brilliant.
I'd say of the four interviews that I gave, Bangalore one was the most tough.
Pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, because by the time I sat for A, I had gotten to B, so I was a
Ah,
bit more chilled out.
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that also played in my favor in terms of I was very relaxed at A's
Very
interview.
relaxed.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the first interview was very overwhelming for me, and that's why I remember it significantly. So,
Man. No, it's Bangalore interviews have always been like my interview was also very pressure heavy. Um, I do think they try to test your, I mean, there's no set pattern
yeah, you can't
because
gauge.
different people have different experiences, but I do think it's a very behavior focused interview. Of course, they do test your intellect as well, but it's more like how will you fit in the entire cohort
Hmm,
because the cohort size is so small. You want to ensure that only solid people are there,
right.
right? And the behavior really matters. I mean, no one can flip and no one can, be all that sorts.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Superb, superb. So yeah, you want to talk about like campus life, mess, hostel, and the other stuff that goes around, the fun
I
stuff.
mean the fun and the good stuff. So yeah, I absolutely love the campus. I mean, it's so green and like you used to go for walks, I go for jogs, and I absolutely love the campus. I mean, it's more centric around like proper nature versus like a commercial building, which is just an institute, but it is like so much more. It has, you can do bird watching, you have really nice mess. I mean, the food is really good. And then you have Mitti Amul, where you can chill. I mostly get all my coffee from there, and most of the time I'm sitting there only.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think from a campus life perspective, I didn't like expect a lot, to be honest,
yeah,
but um Bangalore has sufficed all our needs. It's safe to say it has everything inbuilt in the campus.
yeah,
So I think that is one of the points we talk about till date, that it's a beautiful, beautiful like, campus to have.
yeah.
And I have seen other campuses also, so I can safely say that the campus of Bangalore is really good. So yeah.
Yeah, Bangalore weather plus campus. I mean, right now it must be hot, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
it's hot. Yeah, humid.
once like the rain hits, oh my God, it's amazing, right?
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean, we
think
are just waiting for that weather because it's really hot right now. So
yeah,
yeah.
it is. So how I like to think about it is that Bangalore weather and your campus life is essentially running in parallel, right? So when you enter the campus, it's very hot and it's very humid. And that's how even you are because you are flustered.
Everything
And
comes on you.
in between there'll be so much of confusion, you'll be tired, and then there'll be rain. So everything will be chilled out. And then by the end again it becomes hot because you're leaving the campus.
It
So
is.
it's
It's a
like a
full cycle. It's a
it's a
full
full
cycle.
cycle. Yeah. So fun.
But yeah.
So yeah, I mean, post MBA, I mean, what are your aspirations in terms of, I mean, I know it's too early, but I'm sure you have prepared some goals, some mindset in your head. What are like your aspirations?
So yeah, I think throughout the course things might change depending on like, the subjects I like or like the projects I do.
Yeah.
But right now, if I have to think about my post MBA goals, my inclination would be towards strategy roles and consulting.
Mhm.
Consulting because I know the life cycle of consulting, so it's like just like a safer option for me. But if I would want to personally explore like strategy roles in general, so
Yeah.
that is going to be my P1 and maybe product management because I did that also in my previous organization.
Mm.
So yeah, those are broadly the goals. But again, I'm not fixated on anything because the reason I came here was to just explore my options and see what is the right fit for me. And the day you become fixated on something, you just keep getting disappointed if you don't get that. So I'm just keeping my options open. I'm here to learn, think differently, and I am going to stick to that till the end of the course. So yeah.
Badhiya. All right. So, I mean, last question for you. I mean, not a question, more on the lines of, what would you advise for people who are thinking of doing an MBA? I mean, I know you mentioned about placements, like don't watch at placements and stuff, but what should your mindset be when you want to come to an MBA college, especially the 1 year MBA, because you're going to quit your job, you're going to like,
Job.
you have an opportunity cost and all of that stuff. What would be your advice to folks like those? I mean,
So I think the number one thing that you should consider is, do you actually need an MBA in your current scenario? Are you stuck because of an MBA, or are you stuck because there is, I mean, no other, I mean, there is just stagnancy. And if you sort of change your company, you can get exposure to better opportunities. If that's the
correct.
case, don't go for an MBA. If MBA is stopping you from career progression, go for an MBA. But don't be fixated that you need something out of it. Take it as a experience you will gain. You will learn a lot through that 1 year of rigorous academic rigor plus projects plus case competition. It'll just change your mindset altogether, build your personality better.
Yeah.
So think along the qualitative sides of it. Quantitative is important. I'm not going to lie. We all come here for an ROI. Of course, that's essential. But just don't do MBA because everybody around you is doing an MBA. Just see if it is a right fit for you. In my case, I think it was stopping me after a point, after reaching a level, I could not have, pivoted into something else, or I could not have, uh, I could not get promoted to another level or get into front end consulting. That was like a barrier for me. So
Yeah.
I thought of doing an MBA to just, so that I don't have that barrier going forward and I'm not stuck at one place.
True.
So
True.
if that's the case for you, do an MBA, but just don't do it for because sab kar rahe hain and because it's not a status symbol. If you can, hop on startups, keep changing your companies and figuring out what you actually want, you can do that. But if you know
Mhm.
what you want and some things MBA is the reason you are getting stopped by doing it, then go for it. You need to just weigh your options. Just don't do it under peer pressures.
Yeah, bang on. I think lovely answer. All right, superb. I think we can end this. Do you have anything to add?
I think, yeah, I would just say that, first of all, thank you so much for all the guidance you have given us
Arey,
throughout
come on.
the
Yeah,
journey. And for the upcoming batch, I would just say do your research. Don't get fixated on things, and please reach out to us in case you have questions. We are always happy to help you.
that is what I want to hear. All right, superb. Till ending.